this is Geraldine Nats. Happy birthday from one harbor lover to another.
Happy birthday, Phineas Banning. It's Amy Gratt and the EXP team, and just wanted to wish you a very happy 191 years. Your legacy lives on.
Today, I'm particularly thrilled to award the Phineas Banning Entrepreneurial Spirit Award to Hank Hilty, president of A.F. Gilmore Company, and so much more. He is a true entrepreneur, both in business and in life. I cannot begin to do justice to his many accomplishments and accolades, but I can say he has been a longtime supporter of the Banning Museum and member of the board of directors of the Friends of Banning Museum for over 20 years, including a term as our president. An opportunity to truly test his management skills. Hank embraced our mission to preserve history, promote education, and inspire entrepreneurial spirit. In fact, he has taken great care to preserve an important a historic icon of Los Angeles, known today as the original farmers market in Fairfax district of Los Angeles. Started by Hank's grandfather, Earl Gilmore, in 1934 to give local farmers an opportunity to sell direct. Under Hank's leadership, the market, known internationally, has evolved, but still includes the same vegetable, meat, and bakery stalls. Hank's work to preserve the Hollywood sign, the old Gilmore adobe next to the market, and the natural habitat of Santa Catalina Island are a few examples of his interest in history. He has strived to better the communities where he lives and works, at the same time working to build partnerships to reshape the focus of the family company, maximizing the success of various real estate endeavors. I cannot end without adding and mentioning the importance of family to Hank as he works with one of his two sons, a nephew and a cousin at the Gilmore Company, ensuring the family legacy continues. I know Hank does not enjoy receiving honors, accolades, and awards. Instead, he would rather focus on getting things done. So, this time, he is receiving the award virtually. I have not interrupted him. I suspect he's happy about that. I end this award by sending to you, Hank, my most sincere gratitude and thanks for all you do.
I'm Cherokee Welch, Development Director for the Friends of Banning Museum, and I've had the honor to share the story of Phineas Banning for the last 10 years. And I want to say, happy birthday, Phineas.
Happy birthday, Phineas Banning, from Historical Research.
Hello, this is Michael Sanborn, Director for the Banning Museum. On behalf of myself and our staff, we want to wish Phineas Banning a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Phineas Banning. Happy birthday, Phineas Banning. We're standing here in a beautiful old garden rose bed that you would have enjoyed if you had been here, and we hope you're smiling down on us in your beautiful garden.
My name is George Coe. I'm a concert pianist based here in LA, and I just want to wish Phineas Banning a very happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Phineas in San Pedro Bay, 20 miles south of downtown Los Angeles, is the busiest container port in North America. It is Southern California's gateway to international commerce. It encompasses 7,500 acres of water along 43 miles of waterfront. And it all began with this man, Phineas Banning, known as the father of the Los Angeles harbor. He had vision, he was an entrepreneur, and his influence positioned the port, LA, and really Southern California for the future success it enjoys today. I am Julia Banning. I am Phineas Banning's great-great-granddaughter, and it's my privilege to be working as a volunteer at the Banning Museum and sharing the story of Phineas Banning and the impact he had on the history of Southern California. And I'm really looking forward to celebrating his birthday with you and sharing a little more information. Phineas Banning had 3 sons and 2 daughters that survived to adulthood out of 12 children. And his second son, Hancock, was my great-great-grandfather, Hancock Banning Sr. My grandfather, Hancock Banning Jr. My dad, Hancock Banning III. Well, Phineas was born in Wilmington, Delaware. His family lived on a farm. He was taught at home. He worked hard on the farm. He was the 9th of 11 children. He realized that his future was not on that farm. The oldest child would inherit the farm, and Phineas would be left out. So, at the age of 13, with merely pennies in his pockets, he walked 20 miles to Philadelphia to join his older brother, William Lobar Banning, and in William's law practice. So Phineas was a clerk. The life of a law clerk did not appeal to Phineas. He just was looking for something a little more. In Philadelphia, there was a bustling waterfront. Phineas was attracted to the activity, the business, and he went down there and started as a clerk in a freight import-export office. So when he was about 20, he got the opportunity to go with a exporter with a load of freight to California. He traveled down the eastern seaboard, offloaded at the Panama Isthmus, loaded onto a canoe, went into the headwaters of the Chagres River, offloaded, loaded onto mules, went down to the Pacific coast, and took the 3,000-mile sailing ship trip up to Southern California. He saw muddy salt flats of the San Pedro Bay. There was nothing there but one adobe, and he offloaded the freight, took care of his obligations, actually went up to San Francisco, where the gold rush was bustling. The city was exploding. San Francisco was exploding with activity. But he returned to this muddy salt flat in San Pedro, and I believe he did that because he envisioned what was possible to build there. He knew what a waterfront was coming from Philadelphia, and he must have had some idea that this is what he could build, and he got right to it. Well, one of the things I'll say first is that Phineas Banning realized that everyone he met was a potential ally, business partner, supporter, and Harris Newmark was quite a character.
Upon arriving at San Pedro, I had expected to find a man dressed either in a uniform or a Prince Albert, with a high hat and other appropriate clothing, and it is impossible to describe my astonishment when Banning was pointed out to me, for I knew absolutely nothing of the rough methods in vogue on the Pacific coast. There stood before me a very large, powerful man, coatless and vestless, without necktie or collar, and wearing pantaloons at least 6 inches too short, a pair of brogans and socks with large holes, while bright-colored suspenders added to the picturesque effect of his costume. It is not my desire to ridicule a gentleman who would become a good, constant friend of mine, but rather to give my readers some idea of life in the West, as well as to present my first impressions of Southern California. The fact of the matter is that Banning, in his own way, was even then such a man of affairs that he had bought, but a few months before, some 15 wagons and nearly 5 times as many mules, and had paid almost $30,000 for them. I at once delivered the letter in which Rich had stated that I had but a smattering of English, and that it would be a favor to him if Banning would help me safely on my way to Los Angeles. Banning read the letter and looked me over from head to foot, shook hands and, in a stentorian voice, loud enough I thought to be on the hills, good-naturedly called out, "Wie geht's?" After which, leading the way and shaking hands again, he provided me with a good place on the stage.
Most people know about the great Civil War battles that were fought in the eastern and southern parts of the United States. But many people are unaware of the significant part that California and Californians played in this epic struggle. California's involvement in the American Civil War came in the form of strategy, logistics, and politics. The state played a valuable financial role funding the Union government with gold from the California gold rush of the 1850s. Wilson, a very prominent person in Southern California and Los Angeles, Benito Wilson was his nickname, was a partner of Phineas in many different endeavors. And one of the most infamous endeavors was they owned some land down at the Wilmington waterfront, and as the Civil War broke out, it became obvious that there was a need for a Union Army presence in the Los Angeles area because the Pueblo of Los Angeles was 70% Southern sympathizers. So Benito and Phineas deeded property to the Union Army, mostly a donation. They sold it for $1 each. And the Camp Drum was built. It's known today as the Drum Barracks because the only thing remaining in this Civil War museum is the barracks. But it was a big camp, and the Union Army staged all of their supplies in through the port. Phineas got the freighting. He was an ardent Unionist. He was a Yankee. He grew up in Delaware. He came from Yankee folk. California came into the Union as a free state, and that was Phineas's chosen path. And so he was proud of being an American. He was a Union guy, and he stood up to the people in Los Angeles, and the Union Army developed a presence in Los Angeles. And in fact, there was a big ceremony where Phineas was there, gave a long speech about the Union and how important it was. He raised the Stars and Stripes in Los Angeles, and the separatists stood back. Phineas loved military titles, and he was known as captain in the younger years. And after the Civil War, he was granted the title of general, brigadier general, by the governor of the state of California for the things that he did. He never wore a uniform, he never fought in the army, but he went by general for the rest of his life. Well, this is, again, typifies the man he was. And just incidentally, Phineas got the contract at the same time, or a few years earlier, to build the drum barracks. He was a clever businessman and capitalized on his donation of land to be able to build the drum barracks and then have enough funds to build this beautiful house 2 blocks up the hill. And he wanted that house to impress people. There's no doubt about it. He wanted to impress the military, the government officials, his friends, because he was attracting partners and building alliances to get things accomplished, like building the train. He needed local support. And he thought he would have a house that would be welcoming but also impressive, and it was the only large house like that in the area. I went to the house once as a really youngster, probably about 7 years old. We had a big family picnic there, and we rolled down the hill next to the house that is still there today, and children come and play on it. But my real understanding of Phineas started when I started volunteering at the museum. Everyone there knew more about him than I did. But today, I really feel that I've learned so much about him and his accomplishments and how important it was to Southern California history. He had regals. So a regal was a party. He loved champagne. There was always an opulent amount of food and champagne and dancing in the hallways, up and down the wide hallways with musicians on site. But that was the inside partying. On 4th of July, they'd have a huge barbecue outside with long tables and games and families running around and just having a grand time. And Phineas loved it. Indeed, Phineas Banning was the heart of Wilmington. An Irish-American traveler, writer, J. Ross Brown wrote in 1864, "The city fathers are all centered in Banning, who is mayor, councilman, constable, and watchman, all in one. Big of heart, big of body, big of enterprise is Phineas, the life and soul of Los Angeles County." As Tom Sitton, local historian, so aptly summarized in his book, Grand Ventures, The Banning Family and the Shaping of Southern California, Phineas Banning started with nothing in Southern California and built an empire with hard work and with the help of many individuals and the government at key moments. He was a man of huge appetites who loved his family and friends, while always keeping a shrewd eye on the next opportunity. His contributions to Southern California development, to the crude transportation system he helped to mold into a road and rail network, to a harbor that would eventually become one of the world's busiest, and to community institutions in the region cannot be doubted. Today, 157 years later, we say happy birthday to Phineas Banning, an unstoppable visionary who changed the trajectory of the harbor and Los Angeles forever.
We hope you enjoyed that presentation of our mini documentary, Unstoppable. And from the past, we move forward to the present and share with you some of the things we are most looking forward to. Creating a window on the waterfront for the Wilmington community, the $70.8 million Wilmington Waterfront Promenade project includes construction of a community park adjacent to the Bannings Landing Community Center, a waterfront promenade, public pier, public dock for commercial vessels, public restrooms with a green roof, parking lots, a playground, public seating, bike racks, drinking fountains, and a 2,500 square foot pad for commercial development. The development is slated for completion in 2023. Next up, we invite you to view So Many Pieces. American Crazy Quilts in the late 1800s, curated by Guadalupe Peña, curator for the LA Maritime Museum. Dates for the exhibition are Saturday, August 21 through Sunday, February 13, 2022. Crazy quilting was a leisure activity amongst upper-class women who demonstrated their needlework skills by creating pieces of art. The Centennial Exhibition of 1876 in Pennsylvania is often credited for the start of the Victorian crazy quilt trend. This visually stunning exhibit examines the tools and techniques used to make Victorian crazy quilts and explores their symbolism and cultural significance. Visitors will see 5 exquisite examples of Victorian crazy quilts and an assortment of fine sewing tools made of silver and crafted metal. Please call the Banning Museum to reserve your visit. Reservation requests must be made by phone at 310-548-7777. If you enjoyed this presentation, we encourage you to become a member of the Friends of Banning Museum. Simply go to thebanningmuseum.org/support. Become a member, make a donation, or volunteer. We'd love to have you. We've now reached the end of our presentation. Thank you so much for joining our virtual celebration for Phineas Banning's 191st birthday. We'd like to thank Valero Wilmington Refinery for sponsoring this event. And thanks to our partners, the City of Los Angeles and the Port of Los Angeles. Thank you and good evening.